Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. For today's video I'm going to talk about the things I wish I knew before sending my book to publishers. If you don't know, I am from Sweden, and in Sweden we have a different system when it comes to publishing. So instead of getting agents and querying for agents to represent the author, and then for your agents to send your book out on submissions, I think it's called, we don't have that in Sweden. Authors in Sweden send their books directly to the publisher. We have some agencies in Sweden, but it's not really a thing. So the norm is to send your book out directly from the author to the publishers. So therefore my video is titled like this and not things I wish I knew before querying. And so for this video I have 4 things. And the first one is the biggest. And it has to do with editing. And especially it has to do with revision. You know, the first big edit that you do yourself most of the time, especially if you're going into the traditional publishing route. And so you do a lot of editing yourself before sending your book to publishers. The thing with revisions, I tried my best doing this by myself, and I did some edits, some big edits in my book. Then I sent it to beta readers, and my beta readers got back to me saying that essentially the first act, like the motivation and the motive of the main character, like what actually drives her forward into the second act, like the choice that she makes and the call to action, that part of the book, that didn't make sense. And a lot of my beta readers were asking, why doesn't she do this, and why is she staying in that position when she can do this, and so on. And that has to do with the structure of my story, and that had to do with the revision, so a big edit. So the thing I wish I knew, or the thing that I learned after this process, was that if someone tells you that the character is not believable enough and their actions is not believable or logical, like for the story, if someone tells you that on a beta reader, and if you trust that person and you look up to that person and their writing, or they have read a lot of stories, like listen to them. Because I can say now that I didn't listen, and I could have done more as the author of that book. I took their feedback and I tried to make some changes, and I thought that I had fixed it, but I didn't really delve deep and take care of the problem at its root. So the thing that I wish I knew, and I wish that I did before sending my book to publishers, is essentially don't rush the revision process. Because when you get feedback, you have to let that feedback sink in, and I have learned that now. Let the feedback sink in and don't rush into fixing things just to fix things. You have to be intentional with every change that you make in a draft, and I wasn't that. When I got back from the beta reader, rushed into editing. And the other thing that has to do with editing is line editing. I didn't know that I was supposed to line edit, and I didn't know how I was supposed to line edit my own book before sending it to publishers. I don't know, I feel like I just lived in this dream bubble world where I thought that the most important thing was the characters and the plot, and that the language would come way back. But I don't know why I thought that, because writing and reading a book, it's so much about language, and if the language is wacky and it's no flow in the text, then you don't want to keep reading because the rhythm is off and it's just slow reading the book. And with the line edits, I still don't really know how I am going to do line edits, and I think that now, working on language with the first rounds of edits of Gods of the Ruin, I'm not working on that right now, but I'm going to work on that this year. I think I'm going to learn a lot from that process, as well as editing the short story that I am publishing with Seraph, the same publisher that is publishing my book. I think I'm going to learn a lot. So the revision process is so important, and listen to the feedback that you get, especially when it comes to structure, weak character motivations and everything like that, especially that, because if a reader tells you that, it's probably true. Like, it's just not a personal thing for that reader, but it's probably true. So revision, line editing, just take your time with line editing and don't rush it, because I did that mistake and I don't really have to pay for it, but I kind of did. Like, I got really sad and kind of depressed about that thing. But a story time about that line editing will come soon. But those 2 things kind of leads me into the second thing that I'm going to talk about, and that is throughout writing and editing your book. This is the thing that I learned and I wish I knew. An advice that I wish I listened to more is take breaks. Take long breaks. I can't stress this enough. I did not take long breaks between writing and editing Gods of Water and Moon, the book that is going to be my debut. This spiraled and escalated into me feeling really stressed about the book. Take breaks so that you can look at your text objectively, because when I finished writing Gods of the Ruin, I took 1 month off, and I now know that can work for some people. That didn't work for me. And even though I heard people say this, take breaks. Take up to 3 to 6 months breaks between like writing the first draft and then editing the book. So in the end, it turned out great for me because they did want to contract my book. I can now call myself an author, but for the sake of my mental health and the health of my book, and just not overworking me or the book, take long breaks. And I wish I knew this, and I wish I took this seriously. Like, I thought that I could do everything. Humans are not invincible, and especially if you have a lot of things on your plate. Maybe you are working, maybe you have kids to look after or schoolwork to do. In between all those things, you also need to prioritize your mental health and how much you can actually handle, and I now know my limits. So that is definitely a thing that I wish I did before sending my book to publishers, letting the manuscript rest before editing it, because in my case, in my perspective, and what happened to me was that it really showed in my writing that I was stressed and that I wasn't happy with the things that I did. The third thing that I have is just don't rush. Publishing in general takes a long time, and it takes a long time to publish a book. I don't know why I had this mindset, and I kind of still do, and I try to not have that mindset anymore, but that it's a race to get published, like it's some kind of competition, or I don't have that much time to get published. You know, I'm running out of time, and I have that Hamilton song in my head because I just saw it on TikTok. I think it's about Hamilton, the musical Hamilton, written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. But it's like, why do you write like you're running out of time? Or how do you write like you're running out of time? And I was writing like I was running out of time, and me sitting here at the age that I am, I'm not running out of time. I have time to write, and you have time to write, and you have time to publish, so don't rush. And then after getting the book deal, the things that I wish I knew was definitely that publishing is slow. So even though you get your deal and you get to work with the publishers and edit it and all of that stuff, it still takes a long time for the book to actually be published. Don't rush into sending your book to an agent or a publisher in my case. I really feel like I want to sing the Hamilton song, but I won't. I will spare you of that, but I have it in me right now. And then the last thing, the fourth thing maybe, has to do with beta readers. And this is a thing that I wish I did before sending my book to publishers, and it would have helped me, I think, with the revision and the problems that I talked about in the beginning of this video. But that is, I wish that I had more beta readers. And this is definitely on me because of the fact that I was so stressed and wanting to send the finished manuscript to the publishers. I didn't take time to try to find more beta readers. But I essentially had just one person reading the whole manuscript and getting feedback on the whole manuscript as a beta reader. The editor, of course, read the whole manuscript, but back to beta readers. One person read the whole manuscript. I tried listening to her like feedback on the beginning. Clearly I didn't work things out and I didn't fix things, but she had so many great comments about the manuscript and she really helped me going forward. But I wish that I had sent my book out to more beta readers that read the actual full manuscript, because I had two other beta readers. One of them is not a big reader and she has a lot of other things going on. I didn't want to pressure her to read the whole book in a period of time. That didn't work out. But then I also had a third beta reader who read only the first act of the book, but she didn't read anything more than that, because with this beta reading experience I read her book and she read part of my book. But essentially us working together didn't really work out. But I wish that I had sent my book out to more beta readers so that I had more people that have read the whole book. So that's a thing that I wish I knew, or wish I did, before sending my book to publishers, because beta readers, I think that is such an essential part of the process. And I know a lot of you watching this have already heard this many times, and I was one of you. I have heard this a lot of times, repeated here on authortube by many people that I look up to, with the editing and with beta readers and with stress and rush. And I have heard all of these things before, but it didn't really sink in before I had experienced them myself. And so I don't really know if it's actually a thing, like you have to experience it before you can actually understand the advice. But my final advice is that listen to feedback and know where you did wrong. Try to learn how to do line editing, because I did not know how to do line editing. I still don't. Don't rush, because publishing takes a long time, and don't feel like you have to get published by a certain age. It's damn stressful. Beta readers, such an important thing. Getting readers to actually read your book, or writers who reads a lot, getting them to read your book and get feedback on it is so important. And I'm really grateful for the people that read my book and helped me with it, even though I was stupid enough not to listen to some of the feedback. Okay, I need to be kinder to myself here. I did listen to the feedback and I did try to make it better, but I didn't make it better. and I didn't, you know, go all the way. But with that said, leave a like and a comment below and let me know if you have any things that you wish you knew before sending your book, maybe querying, submission, or like me, sending your book to publishers. Is there a thing on this list that I have talked about that you feel yourself represented in, and how did you handle the situation? That's what I was thinking about. Just let me know in the comments below if you have had these kinds of experiences, or if you have any tips for me. Like, I need all the tips that I can get. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe because I post a new video every week, every Thursday. And I promise new writing vlogs will come up, but I have actually been taking a break from writing, so don't really have that much writing to talk about. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!